Welcome to this video. Here I'm solving yet another mock multiple choice exam or mock multiple choice questions given by crackap.com, or I found out crackap.com. The topic here is on parent functions. Okay, I thought this exam was pretty easy, so let's go through the problems. If you got stuck on any of them, and if the solutions on the website didn't make sense to you, hopefully I can be of help and explain. I did not look at the solutions, so I don't know what they said, and I don't know if they're correct, but I solved all of them myself, and I did check with their answer key at least, and it matched. So once again, I didn't check the explanations, but if you looked at it and it didn't help, hopefully my explanations can be helpful. Okay, so number one, if f of x is x squared plus 1, the f of a minus 1 is, well, wherever there's x, we just plug in a minus 1. So it becomes a minus 1 squared plus 1. We expand this out. That's a squared minus 2a plus 1. And then plus another 1 from here. That becomes a squared minus 2a plus 2. Answer is D. Which of the accompanying diagrams describes a one-to-one function? Okay, so here's important. First of all, it says function, okay? And then it says one-to-one. So one-to-one function means that an inverse exists, or one-to-one just means it's like monotonically increasing or monotonically decreasing. Okay, and there's a way to check that. That's the horizontal line test. Hopefully that sounds familiar. For a function, for each input, there is only one output. That's the vertical line test. So we can try both. Okay, so clearly over here at this discontinuity, there's no, that vertical line test doesn't pass. It passes the horizontal line test, fine. But it's not a function itself. I'm assuming it needs to be a function in itself and one-to-one. Okay, so this one doesn't meet the requirement because of this guy right here, this discontinuity right there, or there is two values there, it looks like, so not that. This one clearly doesn't pass the horizontal line test, so it's not one-to-one. And you can see it's not monotonically increasing or decreasing. It increases, then decreases, then increases again. It's a function though, but it's not one-to-one. This one passes both the horizontal and vertical. This one is a little bit unclear because is it actually like a vertical tangent there? It's probably not, but let's hold off on, let's keep that for now and check this one. This one's clearly not a function if we did the vertical line test. It passes the horizontal line test, but not vertical. So the best answer is C. Okay. This one says if f of x, x squared plus 1, then this difference quotient, f of x plus h minus f of x over h, is equal to what? So if you, for some reason, know calculus, this is almost the derivative. We just don't take the limit as h pushes 0. So you can already tell the answer should be A. Let's do it the proper way, though, that they want you in this course. Wherever there's an x in our f, we plug in x plus h. So it becomes x plus h squared plus 1 minus parentheses your f of x, which is just x squared plus 1 over h. Expand this out. That's what I did over there. X squared plus 2x plus h squared. We see that this x squared cancels and this one cancels. So we're left with 2xh plus h squared over h divided through by the h, 2x plus h. Choice is A. Okay, this one they actually wanted you to use a calculator. I did look at the solution for this because I was curious how they expected you to solve it. You could solve it without a calculator. That's what I did here. But in the solutions, they expected you to use the calculator. So maybe this is not a good practice question in that aspect, but because they say no calculator allowed in the beginning. But anyway, you can find it by hand still. So this is how I did it. Ball is thrown into the air such that its height h in feet at any time t is given in seconds is given by the function this guy. What's the maximum height attained by the ball? So if you remember for parabolas, the minimum or the maximum is at the vertex, and we can easily find the vertex. If it's in standard form, the quadratic, so it's like ax squared plus bx plus c, which it is in standard form. We can get the x coordinate of the vertex by the formula negative b over 2a. Okay, so that's what I did over here. B is 80, so negative 80 over 2 times a is minus 16. That's 80 over 32, so simplify it, that becomes 5 over 2. To get the y coordinate, because they want the height, not the time when the maximum occurs, we plug 5 over 2 back into our h. So that's this portion here. You do the math, it's 110. So you can look at the math if you need help on that. Okay, so this is finding it by hand. If you have a calculator, that's even better, especially a graphing calculator. You can just graph it, find the max. Function f is defined by 3x plus k, and the function g is defined by x minus 1 over 3. For what value of k is f of g of x equal to g of f of x? So I just found the two sides of the equation. F of g of x is 3 times, whatever there's x, we plug in g of x. So that's what I did here. The 3's cancel. We're left with x minus 1 plus k. Similarly, we did g of f of x, so wherever there's x and g, we plug in f. So that's what I did here. Okay, so I set these two sides equal to each other, so that's what I did here. And then I solved for k. So I moved this 3 over to this side. I distributed 3 to all the terms, and then I see this 3x and this 3x cancel. So I move all this k to this side, so it becomes 2k. This minus 3, I added 3 on both sides, so this becomes a 2 on this side. So k is equal to 1. Not minus 1, 1. Answer C. You can double check if I actually did this correct. I believe I checked this. For some reason, we would call minus 1, but maybe it's a different problem. But from my work here, it's 1. Okay, what is the equation of the function h of x, whose graph can be obtained by transforming the graph of f of x is square of 2x minus 1 plus 3 up 2 units, followed by reflecting over the x-axis, followed by a horizontal shrink by a factor of 1/3. This, you just got to be comfortable with transforming functions and knowing how to do, knowing how to shift something or translate something up or down or left or right. Those are different. Reflecting across the x or across the y-axis, those are different. And shrinking or stretching vertically and horizontally. Okay, so this tells you the sequence. So first, shift it up by 2. So we add 2 to the whole thing. So that's what I did here, which becomes 2 square of x minus 1 plus 5. Reflect over the x-axis, that's a vertical reflection. So we put a negative sign out in front of the whole thing. That's how we make the whole thing flip. The whole thing. So instead of positive, you make all the y values negative. So that's why you put the minus sign out in front. Horizontal shrink by a factor of 1/3. You have to be careful here. You shrink by a factor of 1/3. It's a 3 right in front of the x. Remember, each book teaches it a little differently, but when it's 1 over a times x, that means that when a is greater than 0, you stretch it. When a is greater than 1, you stretch it. When a is less than 1, but greater than 0, you shrink it. Okay? So they tell us you want to shrink it by a factor of 1/3. So it's 1 over 1/3, which is 3 over there. Okay, so the answer here looks like is A. Okay? F of x is 5x plus 1. G of x is x over 5 plus k are inverse functions. What is the value of k? Okay, so this work isn't for this problem, but there's multiple ways you can do this. You can switch the y and the x and find the inverse and see what the k is. Okay, so you could totally do that. I did not do that though because I thought it was easier to do it like this. I know that f of g of x is equal to x. That's how inverses work. Or g of f of x is equal to x. You can use either one. They're inverses, so they work like that. So what did I do? I plugged g into f. So it became 5 times x over 5 plus k plus 1. And then I just solved for k. I did it like this instead. So distribute the 5. That's what I did here. The x's cancel. So 5k is minus 1. Or maybe this is where the minus 1 came from. K is minus 1/5. Okay, so you could do that. Or if you switch the y and the x for this one, for example, you'll probably find that k is minus 1/5 again. Okay, f of x is 5x minus 1 over x plus 2. Find the equation of its inverse f inverse. Okay, so that's what I did over here. Here I did the switch the y and the x type of thing here because we want to find the explicit formula. So I switched the y and the x, so replace your f of x with a y and then swap the two variables. So we want to solve for y. How do we do that? This is a very common strategy that you'll need in calculus, also when you do implicit differentiation. You move everything with y on one side and move everything with x to the other. So how do we do that? Well, first multiply both sides by y plus 2. Distribute out the x. And then here, this is where I moved everything with y on one side, everything without y on the other side. This, I can factor out a y, and then divide through by x minus 5. So I get that. Okay? So the answer should be, let me try to fit both on screen. Just some sign differences. It should be C, because I can rewrite this as, if I factor out a negative sign, minus 2x plus 1 over x minus 5. And then this minus sign I can actually put down here. It'll be 2x plus 1 over 5 minus x. So that's this one right there. Okay, number 9. Kaylee wants to buy a new outdoor heater. The cost for the unit is $350. That seems kind of cheap in the real world. If she plans to run the heater 5 months out of the year for an annual operating cost of $121.67, what function models the cost per year over the lifetime of the unit C of t in terms of the number of years t that she owns the heater? So you got to be careful here. So intuitively, you could just think, oh, the total cost is the initial, $349.99, plus how many years she runs it for multiplied by this guy. That's the total cost, okay? But this asks for the cost per year. So you gotta be careful. So don't write this and then pick A. That's not the right answer. They want the cost per year, so we gotta divide by t. So the answer is actually C. And you can think intuitively, this unit, the units of these first two would be dollars. But they want cost per year, so dollars per year. Only these two possibly could give that unit, and the answer is C. Okay, because this one correctly models the total cost, and then we divide by the number of years. Okay, graph represents the equation of polynomial function f. Which graph represents g of x if g of x is minus f of x plus 3? Okay, so you want to reflect it and shift it. So what's the order? Do we shift it first, then reflect it, or do we reflect it first, then shift it? You reflect it first, then shift it. So I'll go over y in a bit, but let's go over to look at the choices. So when we reflect it over the x, this would still be 0, but then we shift it up by 3. So there should be a point at right here. That's my what I'm going to screen out first, hopefully. So there's a point up here. Rule that out. No point up here. Rule that out. I can flip the page. There's a point up here, so that's probably it. No point up here, rule that out, so it's C. Okay, now let me explain the order a bit. So I like to think of it in this way, so maybe this is the part where I don't know if the website tells you. Okay, so let's review why you reflect it and then shift it. So I did the two possibilities. So if you reflect it first, you just put a minus sign out in front. Now you shift it, you just add 3 to the whole thing. So that works like this. So if you shift it first, you add 3 to the whole thing. The whole thing is originally f of x. Right now, we started with f of x, so we add 3 to the whole thing. That's totally fine. Now we reflect it. You have to negate the whole thing. So this would be minus f of x minus 3, which is not the same thing anymore. It's clearly not the same as this, I should say. Right? So that's why the order works like this. I like to think of it like that. When we reflect, you put a minus sign over the whole thing. The whole thing right now, we started from f of x. Versus over here, the whole thing, the previous step was f of x plus 3. This was our whole thing now, so that's why it works like that. So this is how I like to think of the order. And it's similar for horizontal stuff also. This just happens to be vertical and only in this problem. Okay, and that's it for this practice test. Please like and subscribe as always if you found it helpful. And yeah, if you're studying for AP Precalculus, good luck, and I hope that my videos, you can check out the other videos on my channel if you haven't already, if you want more practice problems or need more explanations on stuff, especially on problems on this website, crackap.com. I did a lot of the problems, the no calculator problems, so supposedly no calculator problems, so you can check those videos out.